Operations on functions part 2, compositions of functions. Remember, open circle just means plug in. Or another word for plug in is substitute. How do you read this function? This is read f composed with g of x. And all this means is f of g of x. Okay. Whenever I say of, that just means parentheses. Right? So example, let f of x equals 3x squared plus 4, h of x equals 5x plus 3, and g of x equals 7 minus 2x. Find a, f of g of 1. So I'm going to copy the problem, a, f of g of 1. Alright, so I always start on the inside, g of 1 right here. I'm going to write that. Now g of 1 just means plug in 1 for x of g. Okay, one more time. Plug in 1 for the x of g. So I go find g right here, and here's the x. I just plug it in. So 7 minus 2. And what am I plugging in for x, or substituting? I'm substituting 1. Alright, do I do subtraction first or multiplication? We do multiplication. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Bring down the 7. And 7 minus 2 is 5. Now we know g of 1 is equal to 5. So now this becomes, g of 1 now becomes 5. So this is going to be f of 5. So now I'm going to substitute or plug in 5 for the x of f. Okay, so I go find f of x right here, and I plug in 5 right there. So I'm going to do that, 3, and I plug in 5 for the x, squared plus 4. I do exponents before multiplication. 5 squared is 5 times 5, which is 25, times 3, which is 75, plus 4, which is 79. Okay, now this is the final step. So f of g of 1, go back to the original problem, is equal to 79. Example B, copy it right here, g of f of 1. Okay, remember I always start on the inside, so I start at f of 1. This just means plug in 1 for the x of f. So I go find f right here, plug in 1, so 3 parentheses, I plug in 1, squared plus 4. 1 squared is 1, times 3 is 3 plus 4, which is 7. So now I know f of 1 is equal to 7, so now this becomes g of 7. That means plug in 7 for the x of g. I go find g, 7 minus 2x, and I plug in 7. Multiplication before subtraction, so minus 14. 7 minus 14 is negative 7. And this is equal to the original problem, g of f of 1. Alright, I'm done with that problem. Example C. This just means g composed with h of x, which also means g of x composed with h of x. And we want to try to write it like this, g of h of x. Alright, so I start on the inside, h of x, I go look for that. H of x is 5x plus 3. So now this becomes g of 5x plus 3. Now what I'm going to do is going to plug in 5x plus 3 for the x of g. Okay, so I'm going to go find g. Where is it? Right here. So instead of this x, I'm going to plug in parentheses 5x plus 3. So let's do that. 7 minus 2, and I'm going to plug in whatever, I'm going to plug in 5x plus 3 for x, so 5x plus 3. Okay. All I have to do is distribute and combine like terms, and I'll be done with this problem. Okay. Distribute the negative 2, so that would be negative 10x minus 6, bring down the 7. Combine like terms, negative 10x plus 1. Right. And this is equal to the original problem, g composed with h of x. Right, little d. H composed with g of x. This means h of x composed with g of x. And you remember, open circle just means plug in. So another way to write this is h of g of x. Start with the inside, g of x. Find what that equals to. So plug it in. H of 7 minus 2x. Now I'm going to plug in 7 minus 2x for the x of h. So 5, instead of x, plug in whatever's in the parentheses, 7 minus 2x plus 3. Last of all, distribute and combine like terms. Distribute. 5 times 7, 35. 5 times negative 2x is negative 10x plus 3. Combine like terms. 35 plus 3 is 38, and this is equal to the original problem, h composed with g of x. E. Copy the problem, f of h of x. I'm going to go ahead and find h of x. H of x is equal to 5x plus 3. So now this becomes 5x plus 3 is f of 5x plus 3. I'm going to plug in 5x plus 3 for the x of f. So 3, parentheses, I plug in whatever is in the parentheses, 5x plus 3 squared plus 4. Okay. Exponents are multiplication first. Exponents, this means 5x plus 3 2 times. I'm going to FOIL that out. 5x times 5x, 25x squared. 5x times 3, 15x. 3 times 5x, 15x. 3 times 3, 9. Combine like terms, 25x squared plus 30x plus 9. Don't forget that you're multiplying it by 3 and you're adding 4. Distribute the 3. 75x squared plus 90x plus 27 plus 4. And then combine like terms. 75x squared plus 90x plus 31. And this is equal to f of h of x. And the last one to try, g composed with h of negative 4. All this means is g of h of negative 4. If you get to this part, then it'll probably be easier for you. That means you plug in negative 4 for the h. So let's go ahead and just do the inside first. H of negative 4. So I want to plug in negative 4. 5 times negative 4 plus 3. Multiplication first. 5 times negative 4 is negative 20 plus 3. That would be negative 17. Now, that means h of negative 4 is equal to negative 17, so now I have g of negative 17. Plug in negative 17 for the x of g. 7 minus 2, parentheses, and I plug in whatever's in the parentheses, negative 17. Okay, multiplication first, add negative 2 times negative 17 is positive 34. Bring down the 7, 41. And this is equal to the original problem, g composed with h of negative 4. And we are done with classwork 4.2, Operations on Functions Part 2. Thank you for your time.